Hey y'all. So it looks like a lot of people are starting to talk about, I guess there's a Leave Maga thing happening. And so I just wanted to talk about that real quick. It's good that people are leaving MAGA. It's good that they are catching up. They're starting to recognize reality. That's wonderful. Always exciting when that happens. But I don't know that that really means anything for the rest of us. Hopefully it means at the very least that's going to be less people voting for Republicans, whether they're voting for Democrats or they're voting third party, who knows. But hopefully that means there's less people voting for the Republican Party in the next election, given what the Republican Party has shown itself to be. And, so there's, and as always, there's this kind of like, oh, well, you can't give these people too much of a hard time. We need to accept them into whatever coalition or whatever it is that people think is going to happen. We need to accept them into the opposition. And I understand that way of thinking, but at the same time, do you really want to accept people in, especially right now, who are just beginning to show that they are capable of acknowledging reality? Do you want to do that? Does that kind of make sense to anybody? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And the other thing to consider is, they feel they're admitting they were wrong. That doesn't make them any less. It doesn't change that their values are still whatever it was that Trump spoke to, and it doesn't change that they were still that uninformed, that ignorant. It doesn't change any of that. So I got to kind of wonder, like, what is the point of that? How does that serve those of us who are trying to move forward to a better future? And I know people are going to say, well, we all got to figure out how to get along and blah, 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 and all that. A lot of those people have not tried to figure out how to get along with, anarchists. They haven't tried to figure out how to get along with any of the people who spent the last 10 years saying that this was coming and that this is what Trump is and was. So why are we suddenly going to bend over backwards to accept the MAGA crowd? That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And then, the other way to think about it is that the coalition that you build today is going to be the coalition that builds the future. And so far, they have not demonstrated they haven't shown us that they've learned anything. They haven't shown us that they're willing to actually participate in a coalition, right? Because that is one of the central things about what's happened with Trump and that whole movement, is that they decided not to compromise with the rest of the country in any way, shape, or form, right? So I kind of need to see some things before I'm going to be talking about that seeming like a good idea. Things like church participation, like their churches have to change, or they need to leave them. And I understand that that's a very controversial thing to say, but this is a Christian white nationalist movement. I would like to see them step away from the Christian white nationalist part of it, and that is very significantly tied to the churches. So if they're not willing to do that, then what are we talking about here? I'd like to see some changes in leadership in some of these, some of that end of the religious movement, as just a beginning. Like, that's just a place to begin. So until we start to see some of that stuff, all the rest of this seems to me to be premature, to say the least.